There is a moment, you will recognize it the second I describe it, where you are standing in your own kitchen or sitting in your car outside your house, and you cannot remember the last time you felt like yourself. You are not sad exactly. You are not angry exactly. You are just tired in a way sleep does not fix. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a small voice keeps asking the same question. When did I start disappearing? Here is what nobody tells you. There is one specific tactic, not the obvious ones, not the shouting or the insults. One quiet, almost invisible tactic that narcissists use to make that disappearing act happen. It does not look like abuse. It looks like normal life, and by the time most people recognize it, they have already lost years to it. That is why nobody warns you, because it never looks like a warning sign until it is too late. I am going to walk you through exactly how this tactic works, show you the 4 tactics that build up to it, and by the end of this video, you will never be able to unsee it again in your relationship, your family, or your workplace. Before we get to the tactic itself, you need to understand why it works. Narcissistic manipulation is not designed to be caught. It is designed to look like something else entirely. Love, honesty, humor, even concern for your well-being. That disguise is the entire point. A tactic that looked cruel would get rejected immediately. A tactic that looks caring gets invited in, again and again, until it is load-bearing in your life. Psychologists who study coercive control describe it as a slow narrowing, not one dramatic event, but hundreds of small, deniable moments that each seem too minor to mention. Alone, each one is forgettable. Stacked together over months or years, they rebuild a person from the inside out. And that is exactly why we are not starting with Tactic 5. We are building up to it, because you need to see the whole pattern before the final piece makes sense. Tactic 1 is future faking. Early on, they do not just compliment you, they hand you a future. A home together, a shared dream, a version of your life that feels custom-built for exactly what you always wanted. It feels like intimacy. It is actually a hook, because once you have accepted that future in your imagination, walking away later does not just mean losing a person. It means grieving a life that never technically existed in the first place. Here is the detail almost nobody catches. The future faking rarely comes with real commitment attached. Watch what happens when you ask for something concrete and small, days or weeks later. Watch how smoothly the subject changes. That gap between what was promised and what is delivered is not an accident. It is the first brick. Tactic 1 gets you in the door. But it is Tactic 2 that keeps that door from ever opening again. And I would be surprised if you have not had this exact conversation sometime in the last week. Tactic 2 is the reframe. You raise a real concern, something they said, something they did that hurt you. Instead of addressing it, they reframe the entire conversation around your delivery. You're too sensitive. Why are you attacking me right now? I can't believe you'd bring this up like this. Notice what just happened. Your valid point did not get answered. It got replaced. Over time, this trains you to pre-edit yourself before you even speak. You start rehearsing complaints in your head, softening them, shrinking them, until most of them never make it out of your mouth at all. That silence looks like peace from the outside. It is actually surrender, one conversation at a time. Tactic 3 is strategic unpredictability. If they were cruel every single day, you would leave. So instead, cruelty and kindness get mixed at random. A wonderful weekend followed by a cold, dismissive Tuesday, followed by an unexpectedly thoughtful gift on Thursday. Your brain cannot build a stable model of this person, and a brain that cannot predict someone becomes obsessed with them instead. This is the same mechanism that makes slot machines addictive. Unpredictable reward is far more compelling than consistent reward. You are not staying because the good moments are frequent. You are staying because you never know exactly when the next one is coming. And some part of you is convinced that if you just get it right, you can make the good version permanent. 3 tactics in, and none of them actually hold on their own for long. They need one more piece to keep working, the one that quietly cuts you off from the very people who would otherwise pull you out. Tactic 4 is slow isolation, and it almost never looks like isolation while it is happening. It rarely sounds like you can't see your friends. It sounds like, I just don't think they actually like me. It sounds like, every time you see your sister, you come back in a bad mood. It sounds like exhaustion, being so drained by the relationship that you simply stop having the energy to maintain anything else. Look at your own calendar from a year ago compared to now. Count the names. Most people do not notice isolation as it happens, because it rarely feels like a wall going up. It feels like life just getting busier, quieter, smaller. But a smaller world means fewer people checking in on you, fewer outside opinions to compare notes with, and fewer reality checks when something feels wrong. That is not a side effect. That is the objective. Now, here is the tactic underneath all the others, the one nobody warns you about, because it does not look like a tactic at all. It looks like you. It is called identity erosion. After enough future faking, reframing, unpredictability, and isolation, something shifts. You stop needing to be controlled moment to moment because you have started controlling yourself on their behalf. You anticipate their reaction before they even walk in the room. You edit your opinions before you share them. You genuinely start to doubt whether your own perception of events is reliable because it has been challenged and reframed so many times that trusting yourself starts to feel reckless. This is the part that traps people the longest, because at this stage, it does not feel like someone else is controlling you. It feels like you have simply become a quieter, more careful, more reasonable version of yourself. Friends might even say you have calmed down or matured. What actually happened is that an entire internal decision-making system, your gut instinct, the part of you that used to say, something is wrong here, has been slowly, deliberately dismantled. And once that system goes quiet, the person doing the controlling barely has to do anything at all anymore. You do the rest yourself. People love to say, just leave. It is well-meaning and almost useless, because by the time identity erosion has set in, leaving requires a resource that has already been quietly drained. Trust in your own judgment. You cannot make a confident decision about your future using a decision-making system that has spent months being told it is unreliable. This is why the real first step is never the dramatic exit scene people imagine. It is smaller, quieter, and far more powerful than it sounds. Start rebuilding trust in your own perception with evidence, not feelings, because feelings are exactly what has been destabilized. Keep a private, factual record. Not emotions, not interpretations, just what was said and what happened. In plain language, written down close to the moment it occurred. This does 2 things. It gives your future self an anchor that cannot be reframed after the fact. And over weeks, it will show you a pattern that is very hard to see from inside a single conversation. Second, deliberately reconnect with one person outside the relationship. Not to vent, just to talk about ordinary things. Isolation is reversed one relationship at a time, not all at once. Third, and this is the one people skip, stop trying to get the other person to admit what happened. You do not need their confession to know your own reality. Waiting for someone who benefits from your confusion to clear it up for. You is how years disappear. Your own record, your own memory, your own outside relationships, that is the evidence you actually need. Future faking gets you in. The reframe keeps you quiet. Unpredictability keeps you hooked. Isolation cuts your exits. And identity erosion is the quiet result of all four. The tactic nobody warns you about, because by the time you can name it, it already feels like your own personality. You can unknow a lot of things. You cannot unknow this. If this describes someone you know, send it to them, not to diagnose their relationship. Just so the pattern has a name if they ever need one. If it described you, the fact that you watched this whole video and you are still asking questions means the part of you that notices things is still there. It never actually left. Subscribe if you want the next pattern broken down exactly like this one. And tell me in the comments, which tactic did you recognize first?